Hello students. So hope all of you are fine. So today we are going to start B Pharm second sem environmental science, and today's topic is pollution. So just start with the air pollution. So first of all, we study about what is pollution. So what is pollution? So pollution is a change in background concentration. That means any substance introduced into the environment that adversely affects in the usefulness of a resource that causes pollution. So pollution happens because no process is 100% efficient. Each process produces pollution. Now start with the air pollution. So what is air pollution? Everyone heard about the pollution and what is adverse effects and how it is impacts on our day-to-day life. So today we are going to start air pollution. So what is air pollution? So air pollution is defined as the one of more contaminants or combinations in such quantities and of such durations as may be or tend to be injurious to human, animal or plant life or property, which unreasonably interferes with the comfortable enjoyment of life or property or conduct of business, is called as air pollution. That means when it shows the harmful effect on the natural or normal air, it causes pollution. So when we are going to start pollution, so who causes the pollution? Those substances which cause the pollution is called pollutants. So let's start with this. So sources of air pollution are mainly two types. First one is the natural and second one is the man-made. So what is the natural pollutions? That means who causes the pollution? So natural natural is pollen grains, volcanic eruptions, forest fires, dust storms, spores, bacteria, and other microorganisms. So these are the causative agents of air pollution by naturally. And second one is the man-made. So what are the causes of man-made pollutions? So first one is the industrial units, thermal power plants, automobile exhaust, fossil fuel burning, mining, and nuclear explosion. Here you can see one graphical representation that some air toxic emissions from on-road mobile sources. So mobile sources means mainly vehicles. So heavy duty vehicles, that means which are gasoline vehicles, that causes 14% air pollution, and the heavy duty diesel vehicle, it causes 10% air pollution. Other gases causes 2% air pollution. Light duty gasoline truck, SUV, minivan, that causes 44% air pollution, and light duty gasoline car causes 30% air pollution. So what are the pollutants? Pollutant means that causes the pollution. So what are the air pollutions we are going to study? That is the pollutants. These are alters the environment by interfering with the health, the comfort or the food chain, or by interfering with the property values of the people. And a pollutant can be solid, that is large or submolecular, liquid or gas. That means it can be in the three state. It may be solid, it may be liquid, or it may be gas. It may be originate from a natural or anthropogenic source, or both. That means it comes from the nature or it can be man-made. So a simple change of air can be shows a huge impact on our ecosystem and the species on the earth and our planet. So next start with the classification of pollutants. So classification of pollutants, mainly pollutants are two types. Number one is primary pollutants and number two is secondary pollutants. So what is the primary pollutants? The primary pollutants are which are emitted directly from the indefinable sources. That means which are directly come from the some sources That means it may be household activities, it may be from the car, it may be from the industry, and it may be from the other sources. And what are the secondary pollutants? Secondary pollutants which are produced in the atmosphere when certain chemical reactions take place among the primary pollutants. That means when primary pollutants mix some chemical reactions with the other gases or other substances, then it creates the secondary pollutants. So what are the primary pollutants? What are the primary pollutants? The major primary pollutants include particulate matter, that it is short from PM, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen oxide, volatile organic compounds, carbon monoxide, and lead. So these are the mainly primary pollutants. So here you can see some graphical representation of pollutants, primary pollutants. That means what they are, actually what they are and where they are come from. What there means in our environment, how much quantity it is present. So nitrogen oxide, that is 14.8%, is present in our atmosphere. Volatile organics, that is 13.6%. Sulfur dioxide 16.4%. And particulate matters are 6%, and carbon monoxide maximum quantity present, that is 49.1%. So where they are actually come from, actually from in environment, where they are actually come from. So I have already told that from industrial processes it comes 15%, miscellaneous it is 9%, and solid waste disposal it is 2.5%. Stationary source fuel combustion it is 27.3%, and from maximum sources, it is from transportation, it is 46.2%. So transportation means from our day-to-day life we are, that means riding some vehicles every day. Some vehicles are, that means comes on the road and creates some pollutants. So 46.2% is come from the vehicles due to the transportation. So another graphic, you have seen another graphical representation, that is source of primary pollutants. So what are the mainly source of primary pollutants? Already we have told that first one is natural pollutants and second one is human or man-made. So when we are going to see the natural source of primary pollutants, these are mainly volcanoes, then breaking seas, pollen and fire, blowing dust, bacteria, viruses, etc. These are the mainly sources of natural pollutants. Again I am repeating, that is volcanoes, breaking seas, pollens, fires, blowing dust, bacteria, virus, etc. Next, created by humans. So there are many few points you can see, that combustion process, chemical process, nuclear or atomic process, roasting, heating, refining processes, mining, quarrying and farming. So these are mainly related to our civilization, that is created by humans. When we are, again I am repeating that, we are become civilized, day to day we are become civilized, but we are the main sources of causing this kind of pollutants. So combustion process, chemical process, nuclear or atomic process, roasting, heating, refining process, mining, quarrying and farming, these are the main sources of man-made create pollutants. So next come to the secondary pollutants. So what are the secondary pollutants? Some primary air pollutants react with one another with other chemicals to form secondary pollutants. So secondary pollutant means some primary air pollutants, it does not create by anywhere, it is only created by chemical reactions with the primary pollutants. So without primary pollutants you cannot create the secondary pollutants. So above the picture you can see that what are the primary pollutants and secondary pollutants. So you can clarify that carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen monoxide, nitrogen oxide, these are the most hydrocarbons are the primary pollutants, and secondary pollutants are the sulfuric acid, nitric acid, H2O2, ozone, and most of the nitrates and sulfides are salts are the secondary pollutants. So already given the examples of secondary pollutants here, Atmospheric sulfuric acid is the one example of a secondary pollutant. Air pollution in urban and industrial air is often called smog. So have you heard the term smog? We can see that we are facing lots of problems due to smog in Delhi regions. It is because of the urbanization and industrialization it occurs. So photochemical smoke. What is photochemical smoke? A noxious mixture of gases and particles is produced when strong sunlight triggers photochemical reactions in the atmosphere. The major component of photochemical smoke is ozone. So major pollutant sources and effects. So what are the major pollutants that causes the harmful effect in our environment? So mainly it is carbon monoxide. So it is colorless, odorless and tasteless gas, non-effect at normal concentration, that is 0.1 ppm, but higher concentration it is seriously effect. So volcanoes, natural gas emissions, seed germination contribute to carbon monoxide. Transport sector contributes 75% of the carbon monoxide. That means when vehicle goes around, it causes 75% of the produce 75% carbon monoxide to the ecosystem. Then residential wood burning, it creates 10% carbon monoxide into the ecosystem, and industrial processes cause 15% carbon monoxide. So from this graphical representation you can see that carbon monoxide, from where they are produced and how much concentration they are produced and goes to the atmosphere. So residential wood burning, it causes 10.6%, other sources 0.2%, aluminum smelters it is 9.1%, pulp and paper it is 2.0%, and other industries it is 2.4%, and from highest it is coming from the transportation, that is 7.75%. Sorry, it is 75.7%. So what is the effect of carbon monoxide? So main effect is reduce oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. So in human beings it reduces the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood, and it decreases the vision and causes cardiovascular disorders. So next, carbon dioxide. So from where, when we are asked you that from where carbon dioxide is found, you can show that, you can see and see that from the mainly from trees, but it is not from the trees. Any other sources are also there that from carbon dioxide is also produced, that is fossil fuel combustion. Jet plane use oxygen and release carbon dioxide. Next one is the burning. So what is the effect of carbon dioxide into our ecosystem? It causes headache and nausea. It effect on the climate, increase the global temperature. Next come to the oxides of nitrogen. So various oxides of nitrogens are there, that is nitrogen monoxide, nitrogen dioxide are there. So these are mainly one of the causes of air pollution. It is come from the fuel combustion in automobiles and industries. Second one, lightning, then forest fires, natural ionizing radiations. So these are the main sources of oxides of nitrogen that causes pollution. So what is the effect of these pollutants? It reduces the blood carrying capacity and it causes lung problems. So here you can see some oxides of nitrogen. From the graphical representation you can see that the sources of oxides of nitrogen that causes the pollutant in our environment. So it is the climate, cement plants. From the cement plants it is 1.5%. So oxides of nitrogen are produced. Then pulp and paper it is 3.6%. So other sources 5.1%. Main causes is from the transportation, it is 84.6%. Next, one more pollutant is oxides of sulfur. So generally sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide are mainly the sources of air pollution causes. So 67% oxides of sulfur pollution due to volcanic activities and other natural sources. Remaining due to fossil fuel burning, transportation and industrial activities. So what is the effect of sulfur of oxide in our system? So it creates the respiratory problems, Then marbles, cloths, paper and leather also affected, and plants also heavily affected from the oxides of sulfur. So next are the hydrocarbons. So hydrocarbons, this includes mainly methane, ethylene, acetylene and terpenes. So sources include coal fields and natural fires. So it also the sources of forest fires and agricultural burning. So what is the effect of hydrocarbons in our environment? So it affects carcinogenic effect, that means it causes cancer. In when it pollutes the air, it may be causes as a causative agent of cancer. So from ozone and pan, which are harmful, damage plants, rubber materials, fabric and plants. You can see some here, you can see some photographs that hydrocarbon, the effect of hydrocarbon in plants. So next is the particulate materials. So particulate of different substances suspended in the air. It is a very fine in the form of solid particles and liquid droplets. It is available in the air. So particles are widely in size. It is different particulate matters are aerosol, dust, smoke, fumes, mist, fog, fly ash, etc. So these are the examples of particulate matters, and it is abundantly available in the air, and it may be the causes of the air pollution. So sources of particulate matters. So fine particles come from the various sources. These are the diesel trucks and buses, construction equipment, power plants and wood stoves and wildfires. And also chemical reaction in the atmosphere can transform gases into the particulates. So what is the effect of particulate matter? So it causes premature death, asthma, acute respiratory symptoms, chronic bronchitis, decreased lung function, people with existing heart and lung disease, as well as the elderly and children are particularly at the risk. So from that figure you can see the effects of air pollution on human. So from the human you can see in nasal cavity it also affect oral cavity, pharynx, trachea, bronchus, right lung, bronchioles. Then here you can see all the causes and effects of air pollution in our body. Around 30 to 40% cases of asthma and 20 to 30% of respiratory disease are mainly caused by the pollutants. Effect of our health in many ways, with both short-term and long-term effect due to causes by air pollution. Short-term effect are mainly irritation to nose, eye, throat, bronchitis, headache, etc. And long-term effect are lung disease, chronic respiratory problem, damage to the heart, brain, eyes, etc. Then also it causes eye irritation due to oxides of nitrogen, ozone, pan particulates, and nose and throat are due to sulfur dioxide and oxides of nitrogen, etc. So gases pollutants like H2S, sulfur dioxide, NO2 and hydrocarbons causes odor nuisance. Irritation of respiration tract causes by oxides of sulfur and oxides of nitrogen, carbon monoxide and ozone. Increase in mortality. High concentration of sulfur dioxide, nitrogen dioxide and SPM causes bronchitis and asthma. Carbon monoxide and nitrogen oxide reacts with hemoglobin and reduce oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. Heavy metals like lead can cause poisoning. High concentration cause damage to the liver and kidney. So factors affecting in human health. So nature of the pollutants, concentration of the pollutants, duration of exposure, state of health of receptor, age group of the receptor. So these are the main factors that can affect by air pollution or pollutants in human health. So nature of the pollutants, so it depends on the nature, concentration of the pollutants, duration of exposure, state of health of the receptor, age group of the receptor. So effect of pollution in on plant, you can see from the figure, you can see that so emissions of acid emissions of oxides of nitrogen and sulfur dioxide, PANs. It direct damage to the leaves and bark. It reduce photosynthesis and growth. It increase susceptibility to the drought, extreme cold, insects, mosses and disease organisms. Then it goes to the tree death. So come to the next part, that control of air pollution. So how can we control the air pollution? So air pollution cannot be fully prevented, but it can be controlled. So preventive, we should take some preventive measures and control measures using equipments. So what are the we are just discussing the preventive measures, what we have to taken. So preventive measures are, that is selection of suitable fuel, that is low sulfur coal and power plant using of CNG. Then modification in industrial processes. Then selection of suitable site and zoning of industrial unit. Then another control measures are when sources control not possible, to some measures taken to prevent pollution, collecting pollutants by using equipments, destroying the pollutants by thermal or catalytic combustion, changing the pollutants to less toxic form by releasing the pollutants through tall cheminées for greater dispersion. So these are the preventive and control measures. So change the pollutants to less toxic form. So by the some chemical process and take preventions, we can reduce the toxic effect of the pollutants, and releasing pollutants through tall chimneys for greater dispersion. So from the government, various prevention laws are already formed to control the air pollution. These laws are, so air pollution prevention and control of pollution, that is act is established in 1981. Air pollution prevention and control of pollution amendment act, it is 1987. Motor vehicle act, that is 1988. Air prevention and control of pollution union territories rules, that is 1983. And environment protection act 1986. So students, from these activities and these laws, when we are following, then we can reduce the air pollution. So in today's class, we are just studying some pollutants, what is air pollution, what are the pollutants, and what is the causative agents of air pollution, and how we can prevent that air pollution. So thank you.